Hello everyone, I'm Ron, and today Richard and I are going to show you how to remove an old exterior door and install a new one. Now whether you're upgrading for energy efficiency, style, or just replacing a damaged door, we're going to walk you through every step of the process.
That's right, Ron. We'll cover everything from measuring your current door, selecting the new door, safely removing the old one, installing the new pre-hung door, and adding finishing touches like hardware, sealing, and weatherproofing to ensure that secure fit.
And of course, we're going to go over the tools and materials you need to make this project a success. Plus, we're going to answer common questions to help you avoid mistakes and get the best results. We want to make sure you feel confident about taking on this project yourself.
Definitely. Installing a new door isn't just about looks. It improves your home's energy efficiency, security, and weather protection. A well-sealed door can help lower your energy cost by keeping drafts out and maintaining a consistent indoor temperature. If your current door has visible damage, cracks, or possibly a draft, it may be time to replace it for sure.
Now, it's important to remember that this project does take some time, and having a helper can make it much easier. Exterior doors can be heavy, and proper alignment is critical to getting a good seal against the elements. So taking time to do it right will prevent future issues like leaks, warping, or security concerns.
Excellent. Now let's talk about safety. When working with heavy materials, always use proper lifting techniques to avoid strain or injury. We recommend wearing safety glasses to protect your eyes from debris, work gloves to prevent splinters or cuts, and knee pads if you'll be working close to the ground. If you're using power tools, make sure you understand how to operate them safely.
Exactly. Also, if you're working on a door with glass panels, handle it carefully to avoid breakage. If you're removing an older door, be aware some older frames may have lead paint or asbestos-containing materials. If you suspect, consult a professional before removing it. And with the safety measures in place, let's get started by walking through the measuring process to ensure the right fit for your new door. Now, before you even think about removing your old door, you'll need accurate measurements. Doors do come in standard sizes, and taking precise measurements will help you avoid an improper fit and the frustration of returning a door.
Awesome. So let's talk about those. The first step you want to do is go ahead and measure your slab. You're going to go ahead and get one corner all the way to the next corner, and you're going to notice that it's measuring right now 31 7/8, but in reality what you want is a 32-inch. That is what the door is going to be measuring off. And the reason for that is that 1/4 inch difference is so that the door can fit inside of the frame. All right, so now we have the width. Now we're going to measure the height, okay? Go ahead and use your tape measure all the way to the bottom, threshold, hold it in place. You're going to measure all the way up. So again, we have 79 3/4. Remember, you got that 1/4 inch difference because that's how much the door needs so that it fits inside of the frame. So right now, the door would be measuring 32 width, 80 inches in height. With those two measurements, you can pretty much go ahead and get a pre-hung door at one of our stores. But you will also have to measure the inside, right, of your framing of the door. And that's what we're going to be doing on the next step.
Now we're going to need to measure that rough opening. That's that frame space, as we said before, that the door will sit in once the old one is removed. This means you will measure from stud to stud. This is one of the most critical measurements because it determines whether your new pre-hung door will fit properly without major adjustments during installation.
So before you start measuring, you should remove the interior casing. This is the trim that surrounds the door on the inside of your home. Use a utility knife to score along the edges where the casing meets the wall. This will help prevent the damaging of your paint or drywall. Then take a pry bar and gently work it under the trim, starting at the bottom, moving your way upward. Go slowly to avoid splintering the wood. Once the casing is removed, you'll have a clear view of the rough opening, which will give you the most accurate measurement for your new door.
Now, it's also important to remember, once you remove that casing,
Yeah.
maybe flip it over and take some nail pullers or nippers and nip off that extra piece of nail that's left there to avoid any type of injury. And plus, if you're reusing it, it'll make it a little simpler once you're going ahead and putting it back on.
Safety as always, yes.
That's right. Now, let's start with the measurements you'll need to take for this project.
All right, so now we've removed the casing around your door. Now you're gonna wanna measure the door frame, the outside door frame to the extreme outside door frame as well. Go ahead, use your tape measure. Make sure you're getting all the way to the outside, like we are right here. In this case, we're having to bend a little bit, the measuring tape. But as you can see, it is 33.5. You're gonna wanna measure in 3 locations. I'm gonna go ahead and measure it on top of the hinge and at the middle of the hinge. Here we have around 33.5 as well. A little bit larger, 33.75. That's okay. And you're also gonna wanna measure it at the bottom hinge. Okay, and here we have 33.5. All right, so once you have your 3 measurements, you're gonna use the smallest measurement, which in this case is 33.5. Why are you gonna use that? Because if you go off of the 33.5, you're ensuring that your pre-hung door is gonna fit in that rough opening of your doorway. Now, for the height of the rough opening, measure from the floor or the subfloor to the top of that framed opening. Again, take at least 3 measurements, one on the left side, one in the center, and one on the right side, to see if, the opening is even. If the measurements differ, you may need to adjust that door frame with shims during the installation to get that perfect fit, which we'll talk about later on those shims.
Now let's take a moment to talk about jamb depth.
Yeah.
This measurement ensures that the door frame will sit flush with your walls and not stick out or sit out too far. To get this measurement, place your tape measure against the interior wall surface and measure the outer edge of the door jamb. Make sure you're only measuring the structural part of the jamb and not the decorative trim. Standard door jamb depths are usually 4 9/16 inches for a standard 2x4 inch framed wall or 6 9/16 inches for a 2x6 inch framed wall. Picking the right size ensures clean installation without the need for extra trim work. In our case, our door jamb was 4 9/16 inches.
Yeah, that's right. So next, check if the frame is square. There's 2 ways of doing that. One way, you can take a tape measure. You get it from the corner, top corner, all the way to the opposite bottom corner, right? You're gonna take that measurement. You're gonna do the same thing from the other corner, top corner, all the way to the bottom corner. If they are both the same measurement, that means that your rough opening is nice and square. Now, there is a much easier way, is by using a carpenter square. The carpenter square, all you need to do is lay it right on the corner, and if the top and the sides are touching, that means your door frame is squared. Let's do it on the other side as well. That is perfect. So now we know that these 2 edges are nice and squared. When you're ready to order your new door, keep these final measurements handy. Make sure you know the width and the height of your door slab, the width and the height of your rough opening, and the depth of your door jamb. Also, determine the door swing direction, whether you need a left hand or a right hand swing door. If you're unsure, double check before making a purchase.
All awesome information, Richard. Now, once you've taken your measurements and you've chosen your new door, you're ready for the next step, removing that old one. In the next section, we're going to walk you through this process of safely taking out your existing door and preparing the opening for installation.
Yeah, so the first step is to remove any existing hardware. If you plan to reuse your doorknob or the deadbolt or hinges, use a screwdriver or a drill to unscrew them carefully.
Yeah. Next, we're going to need to detach the door from the hinges. It may help to start from the bottom hinge and work your way up to prevent the door from shifting suddenly.
Yeah, definitely. And use a flathead screwdriver. and a hammer to gently tap the hinge pins upward. Start at the bottom hinge and work your way up. If the hinge pins don't come out easily, which can happen right after 20 some years, it's going to happen, you can use a little bit of lubricant to help loosen them, okay? Once all of the pins are removed, carefully pull the door away from the frame. If it's heavy, get a partner to help you lift it and set it aside safely.
Now, sometimes the hinges pins can't be removed if it's like an outswing door. You'll need to unscrew the hinges directly from the frame. Start with the bottom hinge, then move to the middle, finish with that top hinge to maintain stability. With the door loose, carefully lift it out of the frame. Once the door is removed, set it aside in a safe place where it won't tip over. If you're not keeping that old door, you can donate it if it's in good condition, or check with your local waste management for disposal options if it's damaged.
Excellent. We've already removed the interior door casing during the measuring process. So now we can move on to removing the exterior trim and the exterior frame. Use a utility knife to score along the edges of that exterior trim where it meets the siding or the brick of your house. This will help break any seal and prevent damage to the surrounding material, okay? With the trim scored, take a pry bar and gently remove it under the trim, starting at the bottom corner and moving upwards. Pry slowly and evenly to avoid cracking or splitting the wood. Now, if you plan to reuse this trim, take extra care to remove it without bending or damaging it. Set the trim aside on a flat surface where it can be reinstalled later if needed. And like Ron mentioned before, go ahead and prep it, cut those the nails that they probably used, maybe sand it down, because you're probably going to want to repaint it.
Absolutely. Now next we're going to need to remove the door frame itself from the rough opening.
Yeah, if you see screws, back them out using a drill. If it's nailed in, use a pry bar to carefully separate the frame from the studs. Sometimes you'll need a reciprocating saw with a, really important here, with a metal cutting blade to slice through any long screws holding the frame in place. We used one in this project and it was the money maker for sure.
It absolutely saves some time.
Yeah.
Now once the frame is loosened, work your pry bar around the edges, moving slowly to prevent damage to the surrounding structure. If you encounter resistance, check for additional fasteners or adhesive that are holding that frame in place.
Yeah, so with the frame removed, it's time to clean up that rough opening. Remove any old sealant, insulation, or shims left behind, sometimes even bags. We've seen it before. All right, so check the area for any damage, such as rotten wood, termite damage, or water intrusion. If you find any issues, now is the time to repair them before you install that new door.
Now finally, we're going to have to clean up that area. You're going to vacuum or sweep out that opening, remove any dust or debris. This will give you a clean surface to work with when you begin installing your new door. If the opening is uneven, use a level to check for high or low spots. Shims or additional framing material may be needed to create a stable base for that new door. Now, once everything is cleaned up and repaired, you're ready for that next step, installing your new exterior door. Installing an exterior door isn't just about placing it in the opening, it's about making sure that it's secure, weather-tight, and properly functional. We're going to walk you through every step from prepping the opening to adding those final touches.
Nice, I'm excited about that. All right, so before we start installing the new door, we need to protect against future moisture damage. One way to do that is by applying what's called a waterproofing wrap to the threshold. This specialized tape is designed to be waterproof and creates a barrier to prevent water from seeping into the frame. All right, so we've done the squaring part of the rough opening. We know that our rough opening is completely squared. Before we start installing the pre-hung door, this is the time you want to take to go ahead and prevent any future moisture around the threshold of your door. One way of doing that is using Protecto wrap, okay? It's a great tape. It's basically waterproof once it sticks onto the surface. This is how we're going to be installing it. Now remember, your threshold is probably going to be made out of cement. Cement captures moisture like crazy. So this is why it's one of those important steps to go ahead and lay down this tape first. Go ahead, we're going to flip this over. Okay. Now we went ahead and cut this so that it matches right with your door frame like so. Stick that on one side. Go ahead and do the other side. Just like that. And press down every inch you can. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why are we starting on the bottom and not on the sides? You have to think of how water flows. What you're going to do is you start at the bottom and you have this lip. When you do your sides, the sides are going to overlap this lip. That prevents any water hitting this lip and possibly going behind it. Okay? So the next tape, you're going to go overlapping it. So if water comes down, it goes straight down and to the bottom of your deck. So when applying the side pieces, make sure they overlap the bottom layer to create a seamless barrier. This way, any rain or moisture that runs down the frame will flow over the tape and not behind it, keeping your door frame dry and secure.
Now with the opening properly sealed, we can now dry fit our new door.
Nice. So here's a quick tip. Use a zip tie to temporarily secure the door during installation. Thread it through the hole for the handle and the hole for the latch. Then tighten it just enough to keep the door from opening, keeping it nice and closed. This prevents it from swinging open while you work, because you're going to be lifting this and moving it around. Now, if you tie it too tight, it may be difficult to cut off. So once the door is in place, leave just enough slack to make removal easy with a pair of scissors once installation is complete. Now, Ron, I know that when you purchase these new pre-hung doors, they already come with sort of a latching mechanism. Can you explain about that latching mechanism real quick?
Yeah, the latching mechanism is for like shipping purpose, to keep the door from swinging back and forth in the shipping process.
Okay.
But the issue with it is it's kind of a large mechanism, kind of like a rounded mechanism at the back part of the jamb, and you won't be able to get the door in the actual rough opening or in the opening. So you're going to have to pull that off. That's why putting the zip tie on, because it's a smaller area, it will still fit in the frame while keeping the door from moving.
Got it. So it just replaces it temporarily.
Right.
Excellent.
So now you're going to want to carefully lift that pre-hung door in the opening and position it so that there's even spacing on all sides. Check that the door is level and plumb before moving on. If you notice any gaps or uneven spots, you may need to use shims to adjust the frame. Now, once you're happy with the positioning, remove the door from the opening and apply sealant. This is huge. Apply 3 continuous beads of silicone sealant along the bottom where the threshold will sit. This creates a watertight seal that prevents water from seeping into the frame over time and secures the door to the bottom of that rough opening.
Definitely. So those 3 continuous beads is like if one fails, the other one backs it up. And if that one fails, your third one's going to back it up.
Absolutely.
So layers and layers of defense here, okay? So before we place the door back into the opening, let's talk about shimming. Shimming is the process of using small wedge-shaped pieces of wood or plastic called shims to fill gaps between the door frame and the rough opening. This ensures that the door remains plumb, level, and secure. Even if your rough opening looks straight, wall studs can shift over time, and uneven surfaces can cause a door to hang improperly. Shims help adjust for these imperfections so that the door functions properly, doesn't stick or bind, and the most important thing, closes smoothly.
So one thing to remember is the beautiful thing about the shim is I've never encountered an opening or a wall that's ever been really straight, because like he said, over time, they are going to move. Because you got to remember, lumber, materials, it's a natural product. Natural products are going to adjust over time. So it's real important to understand that you can manipulate the product to fit properly by making those few small adjustments.
Got it.
Now, we're going to first carefully place the door back in the opening, making sure that it sits flush against the frame. Now, check that the door is plumb and level before proceeding. Next, insert shims if needed at key locations. Start with the hinge side of the frame first, placing shims behind each hinge location. This provides structural support and prevents the frame from shifting. Slide the shims into the gap between the frame and the stud until they fit snugly. Use a level to double check to ensure that the door is still plumb.
Excellent. Now just remember real quick, plumb, what it means is vertically, it's nice and straight. Level, horizontally, is nice and straight. Got it? So once the hinge side is secure, repeat the process on the latch side of the door frame. Place shims near the top and the bottom corners and behind the strike plate to maintain that even spacing. Now here's another pro tip. When inserting shims, work with pairs, okay? Slide one shim in from each side until they meet in the middle. This gives you a more precise fit and prevents uneven pressure on the frame. As you place each shim, check the reveal around the door, okay? The reveal is that small gap between the door and the frame. It should be even on all sides. If the reveal looks uneven, adjust the shims slightly until everything is aligned. But remember, in some cases, you might not even need shims because it's such a tight fit.
In addition to that, it's also important to remember with the door that we were installing, since it already had pre-installed exterior trim, we could not shim from exterior, so we had to just use the shims from the interior. That's really important to know. If you're going to get a door without exterior trim, then of course you can do the double shimmed method. Now once all the shims are in place, check that the door opens and closes smoothly without binding. If you notice any resistance or uneven gaps, adjust the shims slightly until the door swings freely. It's also important to realize that at this point, once it's sort of in place, you're going to need to cut that zip tie so that you can check to make sure the door opens and closes.
For shims, if you're going to be working with an exterior door in this case, what material should the shims be?
Oh, I love a composite shim. That's going to be a sort of like a plastic shim versus wood. Remember, wood can rot if any kind of water gets in there. And even though we're taking every precaution necessary to keep water intrusion from happening, it may happen over time. Using composite shims will ensure that your door stays structurally sound for lots of years.
Just another pro tip for all of you there. Now that the frame is nice and stable, it's important to keep the shims from shifting as we continue the installation, right? So optionally, you can use a nail gun to lightly tack the shims in place through the door jamb into the studs. This keeps the frame secure and prevents movements as you work. So now that we put in the pre-hung door in its location, we're going to secure the pre-hung door using the studs that are behind this frame, okay? Now we're using a countersink drill bit. What this is going to do is going to create like a concave space where the screw is going to go in and it's going to be flat, okay? So that way it's more recessed inside, so you can come back, put in some wood filler, and you're not going to notice that the screw is there.
With the door secured, the next step is to use a utility knife or a multi-tool to trim the shims flush with the frame. Next, insulate around the frame using a low expansion spray foam to fill any gaps between the door frame and the rough opening. Avoid using high expansion foam as it can put excess pressure on the frame and impact the door's function.
That's a great tip. So allow the foam to expand and cure according to the manufacturer's instructions. Once it's set, trim away any excess foam with a really nice sharp utility knife. It'll get the job done.
Yep. Now that the door is installed and insulated, it's time to reinstall our interior trim. Remember, our door had pre-installed exterior trim, so using a nail gun, attach the interior trim around the door frame, making sure that it fits snugly against the wall. If you had to remove existing trim, now is the time to reattach it. If you damaged your interior trim during that removal process, you'll have to purchase new interior trim, which will need to be cut to fit. Next, go back and fill the screw and nail holes with wood filler and allow it to dry properly before lightly sanding it flush for best results. This process may take more than one pass. Finally, apply a bead of caulk around the interior and exterior door casings and that door jamb. This creates a weather-tight seal that will help prevent drafts and water infiltration.
Definitely. Ron, real quick, if you can tell me, what size nail should I be using in the nail gun when I'm attaching that trim into on the door?
Well, since you're going to be like tacking in place, there's no need to actually use a large finishing nail.
Okay.
You can use, say, about a 2-inch,
Okay.
18 gauge, something small, because you're not actually going to be attaching it or securing it with the nail gun. Now, on interior doors, I use a nail gun because there's no real need for me to use long screws. But since we're using this on the exterior part of your home, you want to make sure that is secure.
Got it. The last step is to test your door. Open and close the door several times to make sure it swings smoothly without sticking. Check that the weather stripping creates a tight seal. If everything looks good, your new exterior door is installed. Taking the time to ensure a proper fit will help extend the life of your door and improve your home's energy efficiency and also the aesthetics.
Now let's remember that we have to install our door hardware. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for your specific hardware. Insert the latch mechanism, line up the exterior and interior knobs, and secure them with the provided screws. Finish by installing the strike plate on the door frame.
For more information on installing the door hardware, check out our resource guide below for a great video on how to install a door lock. Now the door hardware is installed, test the door operation. Open and close it multiple times to ensure it swings freely without rubbing against the frame or the threshold. Now let's talk about some finishing touches. Touch up any painted surfaces that may have been scratched during the installation. If your door is unfinished, now is the time to prime and paint it or stain it to protect it from the elements. Our homeowner has chosen to do that himself. If needed, you may have to install a drip cap on the exterior. This will prevent moisture from getting behind the exterior door casing. In our case, we did not have to do this. We used the previous drip cap, which was already installed in the location.
It's also important for everyone to understand when I say drip cap, what I mean is either an aluminum piece of flashing material or a vinyl piece of flashing material that is above the exterior portion of the door at the top that sits up under the siding and comes down up over the exterior door casing at the top of the door. So when it does rain, water hits the top and flows off the actual drip cap as opposed to getting behind the casing like we had mentioned before.
It's like a little canopy.
Yeah, exactly. A little canopy is a good way of putting it.
Got it.
Now before wrapping up, do a final inspection. Open and close the door again to check for proper operation. Make sure that the weather stripping is making good solid contact all around the door for a tight seal. If everything looks good, your new exterior door is installed. Remember, taking the time to get it right ensures your home stays secure and energy efficient.
That's right. So most of the time, the doors that you're going to buy at the store or online are going to be unfinished and need to be painted. Painting a fiberglass door will help protect the door from wear and tear, enhance its appearance, and especially important, protect the exposed wood edges, which can rot if left unpainted. However, if you don't feel like painting them, they can also be finished at the manufacturer. This will be an added expense, okay? It's important to know that you must finish your door to maintain the warranty on the door. Check with the manufacturer to see what the time frame will be on this step.
That's right, super important. To keep your new door looking in great shape, you need to regularly inspect the seals in the weather stripping. Over time, weather stripping can wear out, become brittle, and start to peel away. If you notice any gaps or signs of wear, replace it to maintain that proper seal and energy efficiency.
Now, another good step is to clean the door with a mild soap and water solution. You don't want to use any really harsh chemicals. It might actually damage the door. If it's painted, touch up paints, right? You can touch up any chips or scratches to prevent weather damage. If your door is wooden, reapply a protective sealant or repaint every few years to protect it from moisture and, most importantly, that UV damage.
Now, you're going to want to check the caulking around the door frame at least once a year. If you notice any cracks, scrape out that old caulk and reapply with a fresh bead of new exterior grade caulk to prevent any drafts or water infiltration.
Yeah, and most important of all, lubricate the hinges, locks, and handle mechanisms a few times a year. Using a silicone-based spray will help prevent squeaks and sticking of the door. This also prevents rust and ensures your door operates smoothly over time.
So here's a pro tip for everybody that I'm going to include for you for absolutely no cost.
Nice.
If you start to notice a dust or a dirt around the hinges, you're going to want to make sure that you lubricate those hinges. What that dust is from the hinge and the hinge pin grinding together, causing a metal dust. You're going to see it on your hinge. You'll see it on the door jamb. If you start to see that, clean it up and lubricate the hinges, because that means that the hinges are grinding.
Really
right?
nice, yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about the different types of exterior doors and the material options available. Choosing the right door isn't just about style, it impacts your home's security and energy efficiency.
Definitely, and there are several styles of exterior doors, each designed for different uses. Front entry doors are the main entry points to your home and come in a wide variety of styles, including single and double doors, with options for glass inserts, panel designs, and decorative accents. It's got everything.
That's right. And then we have patio doors. They connect the indoor living space to your backyard, your patio, or deck. There are sliding patio doors that are a great space-saving option, while French doors provide a more classic, elegant look. And for a more modern or open concept design, have bifold doors that allow you to fold back sections to create a wide open passageway.
I like that open concept. Nice. Storm doors are installed in front of your main entry door to provide extra protection from the elements. Many have interchangeable or retractable glass and screen panels, allowing you to adjust for seasonal changes.
With storm doors, check the manufacturer of your exterior door to ensure that it doesn't void the warranty by using one. Why do I say that? Well, a storm door is made out of glass.
Yeah.
So think about if it is in a high area for sunlight, you're creating basically a magnifying glass on your interior door. When the sun hits that storm door, that heat is absorbed and it sits between the storm door and your entry door or exterior door, creating a hot pocket that can cause blistering, warping, or peeling of paint. So check with the actual manufacturer to ensure that you can do that and what their recommendations may be. Now next, we have security doors. They are reinforced with heavy-duty materials like steel or iron and equipped with multi-point locking systems, and these are a great option if security is a primary priority for you.
Now let's talk about door materials, right? Your choice of material will affect the longevity, maintenance, and energy efficiency. For instance, wood doors are classic and beautiful. They can be stained or painted to match your home, but they require regular maintenance to prevent warping, cracking, or weather damage, right? The benefit of a wood door is that it gives a classic, elegant look and can be customized, but they require frequent upkeep and tend to be more expensive than other materials. Over time, exposure to weather can cause them to warp or rot if they aren't properly sealed.
And with wood doors, Richard, it's important to understand that cost is relevant towards the species of lumber that's used to make the door.
Got it.
If it's a pine door, it's going to be less expensive than a walnut door. Remember that as well.
Okay.
Now next we have fiberglass doors. They're a popular choice because they offer the look of wood but require way less maintenance, and they're resistant to dents, scratches, weather damage too. And they won't warp or rot over time. They're also highly energy efficient, which can help with heating and cooling costs, while fiberglass doors are durable and low maintenance. However, they can be much more expensive than steel, and they may not have the same authentic feel as that real wood product.
Makes sense. So now, if security is your main concern, steel doors are one of the strongest options available. They offer excellent insulation, durability, but can dent or scratch more easily than other materials. They are a great budget-friendly option and provide a high level of security. However, if the paint or the coating gets damaged, steel doors can rust over time. So it's important to keep proper maintenance on them.
Absolutely. Now, whatever your style or material you choose, Home Depot has a wide variety of options to fit your needs. But if you prefer to have a professional handle the installation, we've got you covered too. Home Depot offers door installation services.
Yeah, our installers will measure, help you choose the right door, and ensure it's properly installed for that secure fit. You can visit homedepot.com/services to learn more about our professional installation options.
Now let's take a few minutes to go over the tools and materials you're going to need for this project. Now, a full list is on the screen, but I want to call out a few essential tools that will make your life a whole lot easier for this install. Number one, you got to have a level. Now, a 2-foot level is good, but I want you to get between a 4 and a 6-foot level. The 2-foot level for, of course, the horizontal measurement, that 6-foot level for that plumb measurement. I couldn't have gotten through this job without a good reciprocating saw to help me remove that old door from that opening.
Oh, definitely. And make sure when you're using the reciprocating saw, let it be a metal blade. And last but not least, the drill and driver.
Oh yeah, impact drivers, drills, a must for securing that door.
Definitely. So, and here are the materials you'll need for this project. This may vary depending on your door type and the condition of your frame, but these are the most important ones. For instance, the pre-hung exterior door. We explained what that was. Remember, it's a slab or door already attached to a frame and to the bottom part, which is the threshold. So it's ready to go. It's like a plug and play, right? And then after that, we loved using that waterproofing flashing tape. We know that works really well, okay? So that's super important to avoid any moisture damage in the near future, okay? You can find a complete list of these tools and materials in the resource guide linked below. Now that we know what we're working with, let's answer a few frequently asked questions, okay?
So Richard, I know we kind of touched on it a little earlier, but I'd like you to tell the folks what actually is a rough opening.
Sure. Okay. So the rough opening is the framed space in a wall, right? Where the door, the jamb, and the threshold will be installed. It's slightly larger than the actual door frame to allow for proper fitting, shimming, and adjustments. Let's talk about an example. If you're installing a standard 36-inch wide door, the rough opening should be about 38 inches wide and 82 inches tall to accommodate the frame and allow for a level installation. As we just explained, for the most part, the rough opening will be around 2 inches larger than the door frame, okay? So Ron, how do I prevent these drafts from getting into my house?
Hey, proper installation first.
That's true.
No, preventing drafts is important for energy efficiency and comfort. One of the best ways to do that is by installing weather stripping or replacing your weather stripping around the door frame to block out any air leaks. Make sure it creates a tight seal without interfering with the door's operation. You can actually add door sweep as well at the bottom of the door to create block drafts from underneath. Applying exterior grade caulk is a must around the outside edges of the door frame where it meets the wall, because it will help block out drafts and moisture.
Okay. So today we talked to you through everything you need to know about replacing an exterior door. We started with how to get accurate measurements to ensure that perfect fit, including removing the interior casing and checking for plumb and square. We then covered how to safely remove your old door, the frame, and trim while looking for any damage that might need to be addressed before installing that new door.
Now, after preparing that rough opening, we showed you how to apply flashing and sealant to protect against moisture. Then we showed you how to dry fit the new pre-hung door and check for alignment.
Yeah. We also walked through the shimming process in detail, explaining how to place the trim shims to keep your door plumb and level without causing binding or misalignment.
Yeah, from there we covered how to secure the door frame properly and install the doorknob and deadbolt. We also talked about different types of exterior doors available. We also included that entry door, patio doors, storm doors, and security doors.
We also discussed the material options like wood, fiberglass, and steel.
We also touched on maintenance to keep your door looking great and working properly.
We even answered some common questions about rough openings and how to avoid drafts.
Now, remember, if you prefer to have a professional handle the installation, Home Depot offers door installation services to ensure a secure, weather-tight fit. Also, it's a warranted labored installation as well. Now, you're going to want to visit homedepot.com/services to learn more.
Now, if you have any questions that we didn't cover today, feel free to email us at workshopslive@homedepot.com, or you can visit homedepot.com for even more resources.
Now remember everyone, a well-installed door is crucial for energy efficiency, security, weather protection as well. So take your time and follow each of these steps carefully.
Man, that was amazing, Ron. Boom. And as always, thanks for watching and for shopping at the Home Depot. We'll see you in the next How To Workshop.